They told you it was a gift, a brilliant mind, a silver tongue, a prodigious memory. You, they said, would make Rome proud, but they forgot to mention the knives behind the applause. Welcome, traveller, to the dim corridors of time, back to the closing years of the Roman Republic and the uncertain dawn of the Empire. Settle yourself, for this tale flows slowly, like the Tiber under moonlight. You're not just a listener tonight. You are the story. You are smart. Too smart, perhaps. It begins in the marble halls. You are 10 when people first start whispering your name in the atriums of patrician villas. The whispers say things like gifted, incisive, another Cicero. And when you're not in the atrium being admired like a statue someone forgot to chisel a smile into, you are bent over scrolls, fingers ink-stained, reciting Virgil before you understand war or love. Your father, stern and hollow-eyed from years at the Forum, summons tutors from Alexandria and Athens. Not for warmth, of course, for results. They teach you syllogisms and stoic detachment, but somehow skip the part about what happens to a stoic in a senate full of egos. You learn to speak before you can command. You learn to persuade before you can protect yourself. It's an amusing quirk of Roman society. They arm their prodigies not with swords, but with words sharp enough to draw blood, and then act surprised when the blood is theirs. By 12, you quote Plato before breakfast. By 14, you're correcting your rhetoric teacher on Cicero's original cadence. He doesn't appreciate it. Few do. You steady your breath. You are doing what is expected. You are becoming a Roman of virtues, of gravitas, of auctoritas, all the noble-sounding things that come before someone poisons your wine. Your education, like all Roman noble children, is both a privilege and a burden. The ludus taught you letters. The grammaticus filled your mind with Greek drama and Latin prose. But now comes the rhetor, the one who shapes your voice to thunder in the courts and the senate. You're taught to speak in the style of Demosthenes and to weep tastefully on command. The goal is to move hearts and, if necessary, incite mobs. The Roman way. And it works. At 15, you deliver your first public declamation. A fictional case, yes, but the way the crowd leans in, it's real enough. The son of a consul winks from the benches. Your father nods once. Praise enough. Still, no one tells you what this kind of brilliance costs. Not yet. Not until a boy in your circle, another prodigy, falls mysteriously ill after contradicting a powerful client. An unlucky fever, they say. You're taught about fevers too, how easily they are brewed in Roman kitchens. You enter manhood through the toga virilis ceremony. They dress you in white, as though innocence still clings to your name. You know better. You've read the letters of Sulla, the speeches of Cato. You've learned how Rome eats its own, often with a spoonful of decorum. As a young man, you frequent the Forum. You sit in the courts and galleries, absorbing the politics like dust. And oh, how dusty it is. Ancient egos, old vendettas, and the scent of fresh ambition. There's one senator, Marcus Livius Drusus, older, with soft eyes and sharp hands. He praises you often, says you remind him of a younger version of himself. You know what that means. You're being tested, or groomed, or both. But you accept the praise. You learn to nod and pretend not to notice the servants watching from shadows. Because being too smart in Rome isn't just about knowing. It's about knowing how much to show. A delicate balance between brilliance and obedience. One toe over, and you're not a prodigy anymore. You're a threat, and threats are handled. One day, in the gardens of your family's villa, you recite Epictetus aloud. Your younger sister listens with awe. You speak of freedom, of virtue, of moral clarity. The next day, your father sends you to serve as an aide to a magistrate in the provinces. A gentle reminder. In Rome, too much philosophy makes people uncomfortable, especially if you start applying it. Still, the provinces teach you things the scrolls never could. You learn how tax collectors inflate quotas, how governors bribe local chieftains, how justice is something you argue, not something you find. And most of all, you learn that your words, however golden, don't always protect you. Not from jealous superiors, not from lazy soldiers, not from silence. You return to Rome just as Caesar's name begins to echo louder in the marble corridors. Some call him savior, others tyrant. You call him dangerous, but only in private. In public, you attend the debates. You stand at the edges of the Senate, pretending to blend in, though you're still too young to sit among them. You listen to Cicero himself, his words curling like ivy around every issue. You admire him and fear him. And one day, during a dinner at a patron's estate, you correct one of Cicero's aides on a misattributed quote. The room falls silent. You laugh softly, pretending it was a jest. The aide does not. 2 days later, your family's petition in court is mysteriously denied. A coincidence, surely. But you learn your lesson. In Rome, being right is less important than knowing who you're correcting. And then it happens. You're 23 when the twist arrives, like thunder behind a closed door. It starts with a slave, a quiet boy with clever hands who copies your speeches onto wax tablets. One night, you find that he's memorized them. Not just memorized, he's improved them. You should punish him. That's what Roman law would expect. But instead, you teach him, in secret. His name is Tiro, though not that Tiro, a name common among scribes, a name that eventually will be forgotten. But you foolishly begin to rely on him. You trust his edits. You ask his opinion. You let him write drafts under your name. It works for a time. Your popularity grows. People call you a new kind of orator, modern, precise, daring. Until someone discovers the secret. They call it fraud. They call it dangerous. A patrician trusting a slave with speeches? What next? Letting them vote? The scandal breaks faster than you can compose your defense. Tiro is flogged publicly. You are encouraged to withdraw from public life. Your name is not erased, just gently buried. In the silence of the Senate, no one says your name anymore. You retreat to your family's villa near Tiber. Not in shame, of course not, no Roman admits that, but in reflection. Your father dies. Your sister marries into a lesser family. Your mother rarely speaks. You spend your days writing treatises no one reads, quietly crafting dialogues on ethics, governance, the nature of speech. You still believe words matter. But Rome doesn't have time for reflection anymore. Now, it's all marching and banners and the uneasy hush of empire. You see the world change from afar. Augustus rises, then rules. The Republic folds like a well-worn toga. The Senate becomes a place of echoes. And you are a name that once held promise, a footnote in someone else's scroll. You steady your breath. You are still alive. That, at least, is more than most of your classmates can say. One spring, a young man visits your villa. He is wide-eyed, earnest. He's read your early speeches. He quotes them back to you with trembling reverence. You smile. It's the first time in years that someone remembers. You offer him wine. He asks about rhetoric, about justice, about the nature of auctoritas. And you, poor fool, begin to speak again. Your words, like petals, drift into the evening air. Perhaps they will live longer this time. The Tiber still flows, the marble still cracks, the names still shift, and you, listener, dreamer, student of Rome, you've walked in the sandals of someone too smart, too early, in a world too proud to protect its gifted. That is why it sucked to be smart in ancient Rome, because brilliance was not a shield, it was a beacon, and beacons attract the night. So the moral, softly whispered like the rustling of parchment in a dying library, is this: great minds are dangerous in dangerous times. And in Rome, every time was dangerous. But tonight, you are safe. Rest, traveler. The forum is quiet now. The voices have faded, and the story, your story, slips gently back into the shadows of history. Thank you for listening. May your dreams be free of politics, and your wine free of poison.